All right, everybody, welcome back to Recliner Sports Talk. My name is Nick.
I'm Brandon.
I'm Zach.
Season 2, Episode 7. Hey, it is NBA season. The real team's playing. No, I'm just kidding. Obviously, some good games last night. There you go, Brandon. Big comeback win for his bandwagon, his Warriors. Obviously, Zach and I, Sixers, playing tonight. So I'm sure we will have our hearts broken here soon enough. But we're going to talk a little Ben Simmons. Everybody else is going to talk about him. We got two Sixers fans on here and a guy that does like Ben Simmons on the cast here. So we'll talk about that. College football coach positions, kind of a weird year. Obviously, Coach O, just 2 years removed from a national championship, and he's already in agreement to resign after this year. And then we have some NFL talk, and are the Cardinals actually real? So I'm going to let the non-Sixers fan, even though he does have a Ben Simmons jersey, I'm going to let him go first. Brandon, what's your take? I think we all know what your take is. We've talked about it a little bit. Ben Simmons, right now, if you were to be in a front office or be on that Sixers team, what's going through your mind?
Well, if I'm on the Sixers, I'm pissed off at the guy. We all saw Embiid's interview. Obviously Doc Rivers isn't too fond of Ben Simmons. He seems like a little whiny brat to me right now. No adversity. He seems like a mental head case. You know, we all know how Philly is. If you are tough and good and show up, you will be iconic. Allen Iverson, Chase Utley, Jimmy Rollins, Brian Westbrook, and Brian Dawkins. You know, like those guys are loved. They're tough dudes. They come in with their lunch pail. They do their job. Ben seems to whine. Philly eats whiners up. They eat him up. They eat him alive. I like Ben. I mean, he's one of the best defenders in the league. I'm going to read two people's statistics off, and I'd love for you to guess which one's which. Person A, 12.6 points per game, 6.3 rebounds, 8.7 assists, shooting 40%. Person B, 16 points, 8.1 rebounds, 7.7 assists, and 56% from the field. Guess which one's Ben Simmons?
The second one.
These are career averages. The second one.
I'm going to say the first one.
First one is Hall of Famer Jason Kidd. Ben Simmons has better stats in every category than Jason Kidd, and it's not close. So, and Simmons, it was what, third in Defensive Player of the Year voting? He was first team all defense last year.
He should have won it. But
we like to talk shit, but when he's on the court, he's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Now, other than the three ball, which also Jason Kidd couldn't shoot until year 10, he was just as bad as Ben Simmons shooting. Other than that, the dude is great. He's almost deserving, I would say, of a max contract. If you look at those numbers, those are better than Hall of Famers. Like, he's good. He's very good. So I would like to have him on my team if I'm not the Philadelphia 76ers, if we're going off the GM perspective, because I feel like he just needs a new atmosphere. Put him in like Denver, or I don't know. I'm just going a random city. Put him in like Sacramento. I feel like he'd thrive, but like Philadelphia, the Northeast, the Knicks, the Nets, the Sixers, the Celtics, and the Lakers with LA, you're going to hear shit from fans. Like you got to be tough to play there. All the other cities, you know, if he got stuck in Orlando, you know, people aren't going to be chirping at him like they are in Philly.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll go right off that, Brandon, because I think it'll be pretty similar. I've always been a big Ben Simmons fan. Obviously, look, last year when Embiid was out at times, Simmons did carry the team. He got the yips in the playoffs. He got so in his head. He makes the Sixers over the top. He really does. But that version we saw in the Hawks series will never win the Sixers anything. There was a time from January to February last year where he was a top 3 player in the league in that span. No doubt in my mind. Remember that game against the Jazz? I don't know if you guys remember that game, Zach. You might remember. He went off. went off. High shooting percentage. I want to say he had over 30-some points. Okay, went off. That's the Simmons. When you go and do that, that's what people expect, especially as a young guy at that body, what you can do with the ball. But he doesn't bring it all the time. Like Brandon said, if he was still showing up and working nonstop, grinding, obviously he's going to catch some crap from Philly fans. But that's what they want to see. They want to see you working, trying to get better. What he's doing now, the fans will boo him even if he's doing well. I guarantee it, they will boo him. Now, I've thought of one trade because I have been thinking just like you, Brandon. Where can he go? The Kyrie Ben Simmons thing will never work. Neither team want to play them. Neither team. The Sixers don't want to play Ben Simmons on the Nets, and the Nets don't want to play Kyrie Irving on the Sixers. It's not going to happen. And I don't think the Wiggins trade straight up for him will work either, because guess what? The Sixers, the Warriors automatically win it if they get Ben Simmons. Automatically. Hands down. They'll get Clay back. If they keep everybody healthy with Ben Simmons, they would win it. No doubt in my mind. Now, here's a trade. Here's a city that he would work in, because there will not be that riding on him. The Utah Jazz. Now, listen. Give me Mike Conley for Ben Simmons straight up. If that's the trade, if they're going to trade him. Big contract. Obviously, the years are a little different. I think there's 2 years left on Mike Conley. I think there's 3 or 4 left on Ben. I think it's 3. But still a lot of money. Jazz might have to give up one more thing to equal that money out. But the Sixers are getting a point guard. Ben Simmons is going to a smaller market. That's a good competitive team. And guess what? They have a really good center. They have a really good center that doesn't need to be the focal point of the team. That would be a good addition for the Jazz, and it'd be a good addition for the Sixers. So if they could do something like that, it'd be cool. I don't see that ever happening, though. But it's just good to try to throw some guesses out there. Zach, I'll let the other Sixers fan hop in.
All right. So I've been a Philly fan for a long time. And this situation actually is very similar and the same as the Terrell Owens situation. Terrell Owens was more public. He went out and made comments about the team, about Donovan McNabb, about players on the team, but he was doing conduct detrimental to the team, and Andy Reid ended up suspending him. And he actually, the final straw was after the Eagles lost to Dallas. He wore a Dallas jersey after the game because that's where he wanted to go, because we weren't going to redo his contract or whatever. But anyway, so he got suspended for a game, and then it ended up being for the rest of the season. They just deactivated him. I think if the Sixers cannot get a good value for him, that's what they should do. I think they deactivate him or let him sit on the bench and rot. Honestly, I'm a huge Ben Simmons fan. Love Ben Simmons. I hate what he's doing right now. It is so frustrating because it's a guy that is completely butthurt from the way he played in the postseason. I truly believe it. He did get the yips. The one thing that really makes me mad is Philly fans supported him the whole time. They supported him. They knew he didn't have a jump shot. Yeah, there's going to be frustration. When a guy's on your team and can't shoot or can't score, your fans are going to be frustrated. That's any city. That should be any city. But when you're not putting an effort to change, when you're posting stuff on social media that you're shooting in the gym with guys at the Y or whatever his little gym is that he goes to, and you're making every shot, but then you're playing in the playoffs and you pass up an empty dunk, Philly fans are going to get on that. And Stephen A said it best. Philly fans will eat the athletes alive if they don't think they're giving effort. And they have lost confidence that Ben Simmons is giving effort. And he stopped trying. What was it, game 2 when we blew the 20-point lead? Game 3, we blew the 20-point lead. Trae Young had 8 points at half. Ben Simmons locked them up. Second half, Trae Young goes off. All of a sudden, after that game, everything changed. Ben Simmons lost confidence in his defense. He lost confidence in his offense. It's very frustrating to see because, like I said, I'm a Ben Simmons fan, but once that suspension happened yesterday, I think it's done. Unless Ben Simmons sucks up his pride and goes to Daryl Morey and says, and he won't. You're right, Brandon. I see you shaking your hand. He's not mature enough, and he's showing it. But if he goes to Daryl Morey and says, look, let's put everything behind us. I'll make apologies to the team. Maybe I'll even publicly apologize. You still actively try to trade me, but I'll do everything I can to get my trade value back up. If he comes out and plays, he's still going to get booed. He's still going to get ripped. But if he comes out and plays and shows effort, then I think he can get his value back. I think he can start working on his reputation because no other team wants him. No. That's the other problem. No team wants him. So the Sixers can't just dump him. There might be one or two teams that are really bottom of the barrel that will say, hey, we'll take anybody right now, any superstar to be the face of our team. But I think the only way that he can get what he wants is if he sucks up his pride, goes to Daryl Morey, goes to Doc Rivers and says, hey, I'll work on my image, I'll work on myself, and let's do this together, and I'll do it as long as you can. Hey, lie to the media. Say, hey, I'm here. I don't know what the future holds. Whatever you got to do. But in my opinion, that's the only way he can save face right now, because I think he has honestly ruined his reputation. And Rich Paul, hopefully he's not the one telling him to do all this stuff, because he looks like a horrible agent right now.
100% looks like.
And I've defended him. I've defended Rich Paul because people came out, was it last year, 2 years ago, saying pretty much he's riding LeBron's coattails. He's the only reason why Rich Paul is a reputable agent. He got ripped 2 years ago, and I can't remember who it was, the athlete that he misrepresented or whatever. But now Ben Simmons is what he's doing. How do you want Rich Paul to be your agent when you're watching this? Ben Simmons has made $0 since he's been back. Yeah. He hasn't got paid at all.
That's his fault.
Agreed. That's what I'm saying. Like, dude, you're not getting paid your max contract. You're losing money. He's suspended tonight, and he's losing money from this. He gets a fine, and he doesn't get his game check.
Yep.
It's just a bad situation, but it reminds me of the T.O. situation.
Yeah, that's a good comparison. I didn't even think of that. That is a very good comparison. It's crazy, too, because two superstars are going through some trouble like this, and they're kind of both the teams that are competing with the Bucks to try to knock them off this year, who looked very good last night. So Embiid just hit his first shot to start the season, if anybody is wondering there. Fade away from the free throw line. All right, so we'll move on here. Coach O, obviously, go Tigers. All that stuff. Won the national championship. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson. The list goes on. Clyde Allaire. So our college football teams, Zach, I'll let you go first here. Is it right to make the decision right now and come out publicly? Like, obviously, who was it? USC made the fire there.
After week 2?
Yep. Washington State's now might get in some trouble.
Whoa, yeah.
With the vaccinations. Like, is it smart to do this right now? I understand you get a step up in the looking for a coach idea, but what's your opinion on the whole coaching changes mid-season here and Coach O?
There's certain situations where I think you have to make a coaching change, but all three of these I don't agree with at all. The LSU situation, I don't know what's going behind the scenes, but he got a $17 million buyout. Like, that's not just hey, we'll move on after the year because your contract's up. They paid him $17 million to roll. He's had some stuff behind the scenes though with Darius Geis. Darius Geis, I don't know if you guys know about that. He had the misconducts and stuff in college. Coach O was his position coach and supposedly was covering things up for him. So maybe that is going to leak out here soon. Not really sure. I'm very confused by the move because he is just 2 years removed. I think I heard the last time that's ever happened was the Auburn coach Gene Chizik, and then it had never happened before that. Like, you just won a national championship and then you get fired like a year or two later. I don't agree with that one. The Washington State one, the vaccination thing is just a huge deal in sports right now. You can see it in the NBA. You saw it with the preseason in football. The Falcons literally cut anybody that would not get vaccinated.
Yeah.
If you didn't get vaccinated, they cut you. Jaguars did the same thing. Now, Urban Meyer supposedly told people that's why he did it. So that's why he's under investigation for that. But Washington State literally came out and said the reason why they did it. And they could face a lawsuit. I don't think Washington State coach will win the lawsuit. I hate all three of them. USC's been going downhill.
Yeah,
past couple of years. Why do you wait till week 2? You let the guys start the season.
What?
I just don't understand the moves by USC. I haven't understood the moves since Pete Carroll left, to be honest with you. Steve Sarkisian, I think it was Steve Sarkisian that took over, and they fired him because of drunk driving. He had something drunk with alcohol, whatever that is. Like, every year since Pete Carroll's left, there's just been something new with the coach, and I'm not sure. Should I make a prediction right now? I'm not sure who the next head coach is going to be, but I would say Spencer Rattler is going to be the next USC quarterback. But anyway, I hate the coach. That's my guess. West Coast guy. He took all his Oklahoma stuff off his Instagram today, so we'll see. But going back to the coaching changes, I hate it. I don't, unless there's something that coach is doing detrimental to the team or, off the field that you need to move on. I hate it. You're paying Coach O $17 million not to coach for you.
Yeah.
Very confusing moves. Not really sure, but the vaccination thing, I don't know what Washington State's rules are. I don't know if that's a contract thing. Not sure.
No, it's the state. It's the state of Washington.
That is making that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Because Washington State is a state school. They are state employees.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't get to read like full into detail. I read the quick article when the alert came through, and I just think that's crazy. I really do. I think this whole thing is crazy with the vaccination thing. But yeah, I disagree with all three moves, to be honest with you.
Brandon?
LSU is notorious for doing this. Les Miles won a national championship, and he was outed. And I don't get why.
Years later, though. Years later.
Not that many years later.
But didn't he had something go down? He had recruiting scandals and
those girls in his apartment too.
Yes.
That,
Yeah,
That's
he
what
had
I
a
mean.
lot of stuff go down.
LSU's had some problems with coaches.
Sorry. Yeah. Go ahead.
Wasn't Saban was there at one point, and why was he let go?
The last
He went to
three
Miami.
coaches of LSU all won national championship.
I know he went to the Dolphins, but was he kind of like, hey, you got to go, or was it voluntary?
That was we're going to go to the NFL move.
Okay.
Yeah.
Talking about USC, dude, what in the hell has happened to that program? It's Texas too. Texas and USC, what the heck? When we were growing up, talk about elite college football programs. I mean, I actually, as much as I hate USC, sorry.
Your budgets pair with Cincinnati's?
Who?
Their budgets blow Cincinnati out of the water. Cincinnati's number 2 in the country.
We couldn't hear you, Nick.
Yeah.
That's why.
Oh, sorry. That USC and Texas, their recruiting money blew Cincinnati's out of the water, and Cincinnati's number 2 in the country. Those two can't even stay in the top 25.
Yep.
Well, I'll tell you what, those 5-star recruits on Texas, they stink. I mean, their defense is horrible. They look good in the first half for Oklahoma. I will admit it. Also, Oklahoma's defense isn't that good, but that's besides the point. What the hell? What are you doing? And then they go out and lose to Oklahoma State. Now, I know Oklahoma State's undefeated, but come on, Texas. USC is just insanely average.
Yeah.
Yep. There's no other way to say it.
Every year they go 7-4 every year.
Yeah.
Good.
So I'll go off there a little bit. How about Coach O bringing his girlfriend to practice? Anybody?
That's weird.
And having her kids run through the drills, like that's unreal to me. You see like the kids do stuff after practice, right? They run through the bags, tackle the bags, all that. In practice, that's unreal. But hey, what do I know what I'm talking about there? Now, Coach O, one of many fatalities, like we said. He was that big personality. He inherited that team, by the way. I wouldn't be surprised if Spencer Rattler also went there, especially if who's the old OC that was there that's now with the Panthers?
Joe Brady.
Joe Brady, yeah. Joe Brady gets a job. Whoa, here's an NFL OC. Won a national championship with Joe Burrow.
I just see him going back to the West Coast. Like he's an Arizona guy. I see him going Pac-12. But Joe Brady would be the guy to get me to NFL.
UCLA, I'm calling it.
Texas too, Sarkisian.
Nah, he won't go to Texas.
I don't see him going south, but hey.
Through Oklahoma, I'm going to Texas.
If you watch QB1, Spencer Rattler only wants to go to the NFL. He's going to go the best path for him to the NFL and one of those OCs. But the only reason why I say he wouldn't go to Texas is because Arch Manning is projected to go to Texas.
Oh,
so
really? Okay.
You don't
LSU
want
wants him.
to face that. Huh?
LSU wants him. I don't think Arch Manning goes to Texas. I don't. I think he stays.
There was a leak that that's his top school right now.
I think he'll go. Why? Why is everyone always so high on Texas?
Because I could see the Mannings. We're getting off next topic here, but I could see the Mannings saying, "Hey, you can bring Texas back. Like you could be the guy that brings Texas back." That's what I'm seeing in my head. I don't know of any other reason why, because you have no defense to help you out.
I was about to say,
if Peyton Manning is in your ear saying, "Hey, man, you can go bring Texas back," or you could, the Manning brothers, like, "Hey,
Go to
like
Ole
go
Miss.
somewhere else."
Go to Ole Miss. Go to an SEC school.
Lane,
But
listen,
then you're in the shadows.
I think that could be Urban's curveball right there, LSU. I think if he goes back, it would be for USC. He's already done the SEC thing. He's done the Big Ten thing. I think he wants to try the Pac-12 now with USC and try to make that come back. I think LSU is too good for Urban Meyer, if that makes sense. I think he would not want to go to a program that's already the best. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he
Obviously,
likes the
LSU
challenge.
struggling this year, but they just won a national championship 2 years ago. So all that there. So I'll be short with it. Like I said, I think it's dumb making these moves. The USC one was so stupid because guess what? Now Urban's acting like a dummy. And let's say that was your main guy. It's like, all right, all our eggs are in that basket. We're chilling. Now that happens. All right, all right, here we go. We got to start spinning. Oh, LSU also fired their coach. Now they're going to be competing with us with the big dogs. Oh, buddy, here we go. So again, I'm never a big fan. Wait to play your cards there. And two, some schools just got to realize, and I'm not saying USC, I'm not saying LSU. Some schools got to realize how good they actually are. You might only be a 9-3 school at your best. You know what I mean? So some schools got to start to realize that. Like, look, I think Penn State keeping Franklin is a good move. Look where they're at. Look where they're at. They're consistent. Listen, even if they lose to Ohio State next week, here's what's going to happen. They're only going to have 1 or 2 losses. Right now, in today's college football, that's what Penn State is, a 1 to 2 loss team. And they got to be happy with that. What you guys?
They're a top 10 team, but they might be 8 or 9 or 10, but they're a top 10 team.
I totally agree with Nick just saying that. Like, you got to look in the mirror sometimes and realize, hey, we're not the number one. USC, you're not the number 1 team in the country anymore.
No,
you're not.
No.
But have we? My question is, maybe we can talk about it next week. Have we seen the last? Like, is Nick Saban, James Franklin type coaches? Have we seen the last of the long-term like head coach in college?
I was thinking the same thing when we were thinking about this topic. Like, just think about the coaches that are long-term guys. They have to win
Brian Kelly
chips, or
Brian
they
Kelly
got to
too.
be in the mix every year. If you were not in that college football playoff mix, you're like Purdue. Get a guy, let him sit there for a little bit. You know what I mean?
And that's, and I agree with that. And the thing I see is like, it's not even that anymore. It's like money or the next job. Like, they're always looking for that. Oh, I want to go home. I want to go to the school I started at. I want to go to the school that gave me a chance. Like, it's weird to me because I'm starting to see that. Like, even Urban Meyer. Think about Urban Meyer. He's one of the greatest college coaches ever. He never stayed at a place really that long. And that's on Nick Saban for a while. He didn't stay in one spot. These guys don't just stay and like stay forever. Like Joe Pa. Oh my goodness, we'll never see another one like that.
The Big Ten's different. Those guys stay. Like guy at Iowa, what is it? It starts with a K. He's been there. Paul Chryst at Wisconsin, he's been there a long time.
Well, but I'm not like I'm saying like I look at Nebraska with Scott Frost, and Nebraska not a great program right now, not a great team, but that guy took over a bad program and he tried to turn it around. They were trying to fire him after 2 years. How do you build a program
in the 90s? That's why Nebraska. Yeah. If you ever hear Will Compton talk about it, he's like, they are stuck in the 90s. Nebraska stuck in the 90s. They are not that team anymore. The Big Ten right now is what the Big 12 was back when they were running it. And guess what? They're the doormat now. Right. They are the doormat.
No, the Pac-12 is the doormat. And I will stand on my grave saying that.
The Big Ten is. I'm saying Nebraska is the doormat of the Big Ten. They're right above Maryland, Rutgers, and then it's Nebraska right there.
So as an Oregon fan, you hire Mark Helfrich, who was the OC for Chip Kelly, and this is going back a couple of years, but he was the OC for Chip Kelly. You fire him after one bad season in his 3rd year as the head coach, and you bring in Willie Taggart, who had really one good year at Central Florida, and look what him. He ruined Florida State. He ruined Oregon for a couple of years. Like they're always chasing the next guy. They're always chasing, hey, this guy does something really well. This guy, like, why? Let a guy develop a program, build a program. And it's not always on the school either. Like, one guy has success at a small school. Hey, bigger school, bring him in. Like, you can't, it's the way college football is going. I don't see the long-term head coach anymore.
That's just society though. Listen, we get, okay, NFL, 3 years quarterback, you're done. If you don't prove anything more than average in 3 years, you're out of the door. Look at all these high school kids. They come out, they go to Georgia, they go to Alabama. If they're not starting year 2, they transfer. It's everyone is that you want instantaneous success, and there's not enough options for that to happen.
Braves, Rosario, home run. But and I said it, I think it happened last year, it happened this year too. Florida State starts 0-2. Their kids are leaving. They have no transfer portal. And the NCAA just allows it to happen. I think that is the worst rule in football. If you're on a roster day one, you got to finish that season. If you want to transfer after the season, go ahead. But middle of the season, you're losing guys because you're 0-2. You can't make the playoffs. You're probably not going to win your conference. Gone. I think that is the biggest, that is the worst part of the NCAA for me, for college football.
These kids are soft.
I hate that.
They're soft.
All right. Well, let's move on here because I know our time is going to come here shortly. So NFL games, obviously NFL is going on. NFL rules. We get hyped for the basketball, but guess what's going to simmer down till about Christmas time, a little bit after Christmas time, basketball. We're excited about it. And when playoffs are going on, that will be over shortly. NFL is going to stay here through February, fellas. So the Cardinals, undefeated, only an undefeated team in the NFL. Now they've played, I'll say the teams here, they have played the Titans, the Vikings, the Jaguars, all kind of blah. Obviously, Titans had a big win here Monday. But then they played the Rams, the 49ers, the Browns, who are, you know what I mean? And they've won them all, obviously undefeated. Now you go Texans, Packers, 49ers, Panthers, Seahawks, Bears, Rams, Lions, Colts, Cowboys, and Seahawks. Fellas, are the Cardinals contenders? Or are they just basically undefeated based off who they played? What do you guys think? Brandon?
Oh, they're contenders in my mind. The Panthers were pretenders after being 3-0. The Cardinals aren't. The Cardinals offense, if you want me to read their roster, you have Kyler Murray, who is dual threat outside of Lamar Jackson, probably the best dual threat quarterback, Josh Allen, I guess. All right, top 3. He's a top 3 dual threat guy. You have Chase Edmonds and James Conner, who James Conner is pretty good in the goal line situation. Chase Edmonds, believe it or not, is averaging over 5 yards a carry. Chase Edmonds is a pretty good running back, and he can pass catch. He's a pretty big, both of them are 6 foot. They're pretty big running backs. So you have those guys, pretty good. Then you have DeAndre Hopkins, Rondale Moore, AJ Green, Christian Kirk, and Zach Ertz as your pass catchers. And you have a solid left tackle in DJ Humphries. They're good. Their offense is really good. Their defense is solid. It's not the top 10 defense that, some teams have, but they have an average defense. And with that offense, it's enough to win.
Yeah. Zach?
Yeah, we don't have much time, but yeah, I think Duvall just home run 2-0 Braves. All right. Anyway, I think they're contenders. I really do. I think the offense is really clicking this year, and that was something that I felt like was holding them back last couple of years. That offense would be hot one game, and the next game putting up 10 points, can't score in the red zone. This year, I feel like they're putting it all together. That defense is filled with veterans. I think J.J. Watt, he's going to prove me wrong. He's doing a pretty good job. But Chandler Jones has been awesome this year, and I think that's huge for them. They have 2 veteran DNs that I think are the leaders of that defense. They're leading in the locker room. They just have a great core of young players offensively, and they have some vets on defense. I think it's a great mix. I'm not saying Super Bowl, but I am saying that they are contenders to compete deep into the playoffs. So
I think they go as far as Kyler goes. That's NFL. You go as far as your quarterback goes.
Yep.
It's pretty simple, right? Look, Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes. Pretty simple to understand what's going there. Look, Rams had a great defense, a great team a few years ago. And how many points did they score in the Super Bowl?
3.
3. Did not even get a touchdown. They went as far as their quarterback could take them. They could only carry your quarterback so far. Can Kyler Murray, and the most impressive thing Kyler Murray is doing, some games he's doing the crazy scrambles and the runs. Recently, he's just been passing the ball. I know he's on my fantasy team. His points have not been as high as they have been, and he's still having great games because he's not having to scramble. He's sitting there dinking and dunking, throwing the deep pass when it's there. They will go as far as Kyler Murray can go. Now, I think another thing that's going to hurt them, I think coaching will hurt them in the playoffs. Nothing against Kingsbury there, but I think when you run into some, I don't want to say higher mind, but like I feel like I'm going to take Sean McVay in the playoffs over Kingsbury. I am. I'm going to do it. I'm going to take that defense, that offense, and that head coach over that offense, that defense, and the Cardinals head coach. So that's kind of where I'm at with the Cardinals. I'm not saying they're got to go as far as Kyler Murray, and can Kingsbury in the playoffs make some moves? That's how it's going to be there. All right. We're obviously running low on time here. So any closing thoughts, Zach? I obviously MLB playoffs. I'm going to leave it to you. You're the one making the comments. Your team's in the playoffs, killing it. Tell us what you got, Zach.
Well, I will say last night was very deflating. Charlie Morton threw a great game. We're up 5-2. And then Luke Jackson tries to go ladder fastball to Cody Bellinger, and he takes it 500 feet over the fence. The craziest thing is, though, throughout that game, you kind of saw the air get sucked out of the Dodger Stadium. You went up 5-2, thought we had it. My worry on here was the bullpen early on when we talked about the MLB playoffs. The bullpen's been great, but last night, Luke Jackson just made a mistake pitch. I don't even know if it was a mistake. I just would not serve Bellinger anything high. And that's what they did last night. I just think it was a bad pitch call. I don't think it's a mistake, just a bad pitch call, because it did hit a spot. But I think the biggest thing this season, I brought some stats. We made a ton of moves at the deadline, and a lot of them I was kind of confused about. I didn't think Jock Peterson was going to be a great replacement for Acuna, but it ended up working out. He's hitting 357. He has 3 home runs and 7 ribbies in the playoffs. And then Eddie Rosario, who actually just homered tonight, he's batting .409 and now has 10 hits. So I think the Braves did a great job at the deadline. They made moves. They took risks, but they didn't give up a lot. And they got guys that are carrying them through the playoffs right now. Like Freddie Freeman's struggling. Freddie Freeman was over 4 with 4 Ks, and I think he had 7 strikeouts in a row. Like, he helped us in the Brewers series, but Dodgers series is struggling. So I think if the bullpen can hold up, the starting pitching can do well, man, I think we can take this series. But losing last night, man, it was deflating. It's totally deflating as a fan, because last year we had a 3-1 lead. We blew it to the Dodgers. They end up going to win the World Series. We're up 2-0, full control of last night's game, and then we blow it. We're up early in this game, so we'll see how it goes. But I'm excited. I didn't expect to get this far, so I'm just riding the wave right now. So go Braves.
It's a fun feeling as a fan when you get that, right?
I'm glad they just went out and got players at the deadline. That was the biggest thing for me. Like, go still win it. You have a team that can do it.
Yeah. I'll go real quick. Kate Scott, broadcaster, Philadelphia 76ers. I could be wrong here, but I'm pretty sure first female to be the head color person, right? Is that the correct term to use there? The person calling the game.
Yep.
So play-by-play announcer for any NBA team. So that's awesome. I have her on mute right now. So as soon as we're done, I'll make sure I'm listening to her. But just exciting thing. Gonna miss my man, Mark Zumoff. I think that's gonna be a tough part for Kate. Mark Zumoff, any Sixers fan knows everybody loved Mark Zumoff. They listened to him through the process, still listening to him now. Obviously that is gone. He stepped down. So up to Kate Scott. Big shoes to fill, but I'm sure she'll do a great job. Brandon?
Okay, the NBA is starting. That means college basketball is around the corner. I want to make a couple predictions here. I think Duke and Kentucky both stink it up this year.
Oh!
Stink it up. I know, I'm going to admit it.
See ya. We'll smell you.
Here's my team, and I'm saying it October 20th before anyone else jumps on the bandwagon. Villanova will win it all this year.
Okay.
Colin Gillespie coming back after getting injured. I think he'll win. He's going to be an All-American candidate. I think he absolutely goes off. Villanova, Jay Wright, best coach in college basketball, in my opinion. He takes those 3- and 4-star recruits, and by sophomore, junior year, they're getting drafted. They're turning into 5-star recruits. That's the way to go. You don't want to get these 5-star recruits that think they're so good and then they're gone freshman year. Jay Wright gets the guys who are maybe a little bit under them. And then after a year of development under him, they're freaking great. Look at Sadiq Bey. He's on the Pistons. He was drafted like 20th. Sadiq Bey. I mean, he wasn't like a huge high school recruit. DiVincenzo was mid-tier. Look at him develop. Phil Booth. All those guys. Mikal Bridges wasn't a huge recruit. I mean, I could go on. Pascal and all of those guys. I think Jay Wright's the best coach in college basketball, and Villanova wins it all.
All right.
I agree.
I thought you were going to say Gonzaga and be like, oh, yeah, wait, risky take. If you would have said Baylor last year, it would have been like, oh, my God.
No,
Yeah.
I really think Villanova wins.
All right. Well, there you go. Already getting predictions. I haven't even looked at it yet. All right, everybody. Well, thank you for watching episode 7, season 2, Recliner Sports Talk. My name's Nick.
I'm Brandon.
I'm Zach.
We'll see you guys next time on Recliner Sports Talk.